Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Artorius Wei. Today we're going to talk about remote data center. So before we actually start, um, I just want to quick introduce what the difference between remote data center and data center. So basically, remote data center are data center that's not running their own. Well, they are running their data centers, but they provide their server services to other companies, no matter who need it. So it's just like a outsource company kind of. So why we need remote data center? First, it is not easy for companies to manage a data center. It's because data centers they will consume a lot of electricity like power, especially for cooling, and they usually cost a lot of money. Actually, the majority of the usage, the electricity consuming or consumption are for cooling, just for cooling down the servers. And to manage a data center usually requires specific skills. For example, you need skill for employees to keep the server running, and not all the companies has the abilities to control the crisis. For example, what if you got like hacking, or let's say what other disaster happened to your servers? You have to save your servers and then put them back on to continue working, right? So that's why you need a backup plans. For example, if one of your server shuts down, you have to um, boot up another one to take the job. Otherwise, you might get sued from your customers. But not all the companies have the budget to back up or to buy another server just for backing up, and the latency um for for this case. For example, if you are U.S. citizens who frequently travel abroad, especially for um, developing countries, then you probably need a remote data center in the closed region. Otherwise, you can have a really high latency and which also called high pings. So the connection will be really slow, and you don't want to keep using American data center anymore because the latency, and not all the companies they have the space for the data center. Let's see, it's hard to find a, well, it's not hard, just um, you need a specific space for your data center, and therefore you need a building for it, or a room just for your data center or for the servers. But the problem is that in order to cool down your servers, you might need to change the structure of the whole building in order to put in new equipment like a cooling system, ACs, let's say, in order to generate your own or manage your own data center. So it will cost a lot of money. Okay, so let's move on. The Vern Global is the Iceland company who provide servers to other countries. So why Vern Global? Famous or not famous, but kinda. It's because the location, just like the picture shows, the location is like in the middle of Greenland, North America, European countries, or Britain. So it's like a midway station that connect all four places. So if you are a businessman doing um, let's say doing business with Europeans, then you probably need the Iceland servers to generate low latencies, and the speed might be faster than if you keep using the data center in America, or I mean, for them, for European countries who are using data center in America would be a huge trouble. So let's talk about cons if you're choosing Verne Global in Iceland. So the positive side is, as we see, we can get a lot of geographic benefits from choosing the Verne Global company, because if you're trying to do business with them, with people from I mean Europeans, then you probably need this. And the low cost power in Iceland is, that's why it's I mean it's been famous in Iceland, because usually it's 65 or 75% less comparative comparable rates in US compared with I mean Iceland. So I mean Iceland is cheaper than Americans' electricity costs. Put in other words, 60 cents per kilowatt hour in New York City, it's compared with 5 cents per kilowatt hours in Iceland. That's a big chunk. I mean, imagine that data center usually consume a lot of power. Then I think it's might be the good reason to choose Verne Global compared with American data center. So, and also, um, I just took this from the website saying 100% renewable is being using in Iceland, Verne Global company. If you are environmental friendly businessman, then you probably will consider this. And the flexibilities, Verne Global, they provide the flexibilities um, for customers from different regions. For example, um, they can schedule how many servers are going to use just to match up your demands, which is kind cool. Thus, you can save money from not having too many servers or too less. So it's kind of interesting. Let's talk about the downside of choosing Verne Global. It's because the first one, the economic crisis. Iceland just went bankrupt in 2008, and it's not even funny since we're going to invest our I mean our business in Iceland. Then you don't want to face the crisis. The second one is latency. How can that latency be in here as a trouble? Is because if you are moving to other developing countries, such as countries in Asia region, you're probably not going to use Iceland because it's still far from Asian countries. You might, for example, if you're going to if you're doing business in China or Japan, then you probably need a remote data center closer to the region. I mean, that's why I put latency here. The third one, the disasters and the fear of unknown. So, as you can see in the map, it's on Iceland. The Verne Global company is in Iceland, and around the region there are a lot of volcano. So if the volcano activities actually trouble or damage the facilities, then you have to face those crises as well. And they not just saying, not Americans know about Iceland. They never traveled there before. They don't know how the politics works in Iceland. It's different from America, and they don't want to get in that trouble as well. I mean, neither. So the remote data center in the future. So I mean, just step a little bit further. That's just my general idea of thinking how the remote data center can be in the future. I drew this picture, and that's basically based on my imagination. So this is a unmanned space data center. So it's in the space. The reason why I put it in the space because generally the database they consume a lot of power for cooling down the servers. If that's in the space, then you don't need that much power for just in general cooling down the system. So let's say you can still see a lot of solar panels on the top of it. It's because the servers they need power, and I think I can't imagine how many solar panels might be used for um, just for the electricity, but I assume that it will be a great amount. And you can see I put three rings here. For each ring, they are designed for different purpose. For example, on the first ring, they might just differ three servers, server areas, just for let's say for normal usages. And the second ring can be used for um, let's say government. The third ring can be used for the militaries. So for each ring, just take a look at ring 1. So we have three zones. The first one is server area 1, server area 2 for the B, and the C block is for backup server area. So normally, just saying if something wrong with block A and I mean there's something wrong with the servers, then you can back up and transfer the information from block A to block C, so you can continue in using the servers without causing a lot of time waste. And the main control computer can generate and they can it can solve the problem by itself, like rebooting the whole zone A and just to boot up the servers. And also the generator or the reactor I put in the center is because even the space they let's say even the servers they consume a lot of cooling, but the space is kind of cold. It's I think it's kind it can freeze the servers, so you probably need a nuclear reactor to keep the servers warm. And some people were talking about because we're using GPS nowadays, and we basically transfer information via the radiation, not radiation, what is it called? Radio waves, or some other signals. But let's say if we can have laser transmitters, which is kind of fast, to transfer the data via via all the other satellites. For example, if we can have a satellite net just like GPS, then we can, no matter where we go on Earth, we can collect, or we can connect it to the closest satellites, and then they can transfer the data from the data center, the space data center, and your phone, for example, or your PC. I think that's a good idea. Okay, in summary, remote data center services can bring many benefits to the company. For example, saving space, saving energy costs, saving managing costs, saving time, latency basically. So, but there are also some consequences by choosing a remote data center service, because out of controlling, for example, if you are a manager who running a small business, or like you're trying to you put a lot of your customers information, user information, and the email services, let's say aboard to Verb Global in Iceland. What if there's a huge earthquake happening in Iceland and all the services has shut down? So basically, you can do nothing to fix it unless you go to Iceland and trying to bring all the information back to America. It can be an issue, and oops, the latency. The reason why I keep put latency in the the negative side, because it's all depends on where you're going, and if you're going to Asian developing countries and you don't have a remote data center, it's it's gonna be really bad, because can't you can keep using the American data centers, but the latency will still be